HDFC Bank surges to a 2-month peak. This comes a day after NDTV profit news break confirmed that the bank is selling up to 70,000 crore worth of loan assets. HSBC retained a buy on HDFC Bank, quoting the NDTV profit exclusive. India's biggest IPO, the $3.5 billion Hyundai Motor IPO, gets SEBI's green light and is set to launch in October. Losing your cool over spam calls? Airtel promises to fix that with their new AI-powered delusion tool. This will alert users about any spam calls they're getting in real time. Ola Electric customers face issues with after-sales service. NDTV profit shows the ground reality of the company's service centers. The second phase of Jammu and Kashmir election is underway across 26 constituencies. Voter turnout was recorded at 46.1% at 3 p.m. Hello and welcome. You're watching Profit 360 on NDTV Profit. I'm your host Malika Mishra, and along the next half an hour, we'll bring you the latest on markets along with national and international headlines. The markets closed at record high today. Most sectoral indices were in green. What led to the market rally? Harsh joins us with a quick market wrap.
Well, yet another day, yet another record high and yet another record close that we've seen today, thanks to that last-ditch spike on the index, largely aided by IT is what it seems. But let's quickly pull up the heat map in terms of the breadth on the Nifty 50 counters versus others. What we're seeing is very good breadth, which wasn't the case for most of the day. A lot of these stocks reversed towards the fag end of the day and turned green, and that's why the breadth here looks strong. But let's pull up the overall breadth of the market, and what you'll see is it's strongly in favor of the decline. So the breadth otherwise was weak. And let's pull up the Nifty mid cap and small cap, because that's where most of the pain actually was, even though they closed just off their lows. But nonetheless, both the Nifty mid cap and small cap indexes went home with negative, or rather in the red. And therefore, what you saw was some bit of breadth, which was poor. Let's pull up the sectoral heat map, try and zoom in on which sectors were buzzing. And first off, on the sectors which closed in the red, the Nifty PSU Bank, the Nifty IT index, which likely led to that spike as well right towards the end, and the Nifty FMCG was down around 0.4%, Nifty PSU Bank down 0.9%, and Nifty IT down 0.7%. The gainers, the Nifty Realty in the broader markets, but Nifty Metal continues a solid week that it has had, and the Nifty Media was in fact a buzzer in trade on the back of Z doing very, very well. Let's pull up the BSE 500 stocks, top gainers, top losers, and there you go. You'll see all of those stocks. Ease my trip, of course, block scene there. Need to watch as to who has really sold that large chunk. PB Fintech down 6% odd. Again, good volumes on PB Fintech scene. IEX down 4%, AstraZeneca down 5% after a very solid day yesterday. In terms of some of the gainers, Z Entertainment was up 5%, which led the Nifty Media higher.
Thank you for that market wrap, Harsh. HDFC Bank's share price hit a 2-month high after HSBC raised its target price for the stock while maintaining a buy call. The development comes the day after NDTV profits exclusive on HDFC Bank. My colleague Vishwanath Nair joins it with a detailed report. Vishwanath, what are you picking up?
Analysts at HSBC Securities believe that it's a good thing that HDFC Bank will look at slowing down its loan growth and offload some of the assets that are there on its books, because this will bring down the pressure on the bank. Now, what exactly are the analysts saying? Essentially, they're quoting an exclusive story that NDTV Profit reported on Tuesday, which said that HDFC Bank will look to offload about 60 to 70,000 crore worth of auto as well as mortgage loans from its balance sheet. This is a process to free up up the liquidity for the bank, but also bring down its credit deposit ratio, which is currently at over 100%. Remember that any credit deposit ratio above 100% indicates that assets are over and above what the deposits are on that balance sheet, and that reduces the headroom for the growth for the bank. So what are HSBC analysts saying? Essentially, they're saying that by offloading these assets and combining that with deposit accretion and other measures, HDFC Bank can manage its balance sheet much better, bring down that credit deposit ratio, maintain the net interest margins for the bank, because a lot of the high cost assets will be off and the pressure on accumulating more and more deposits will come down, and that will help the bank stabilize in the future. So while HSBC analysts are cutting earnings estimates for the next financial year for FY26, they are, however, raising their expectations from the bank because the return on assets is likely to improve.
Thank you for explaining that to us, Vishy. The market is abuzz with Hyundai India's IPO, which is set to be India's largest IPO worth $3.5 billion. My colleague Puneet Javeri joins in with an overview of the IPO.
SEBI has potentially approved Hyundai's IPO according to media sources which spoke to NDTV Profit, and it's a good time to talk about the company's DRHP as well as its financials as well. They are looking to raise roughly about $3.5 billion, as you rightly said, but the final value is yet to be ascribed. But it's important to see where Hyundai stands in the current passenger vehicle market specifically. And when you look at the Hyundai's financials over the 9 months of FY24, we can see that the company reported roughly 52,000 crores of revenues, while margins were also maintained at a very strong 12.7%. This is up from roughly about 110 basis points from a couple of years ago. But it's also important that the profitability metrics have been maintained very high, roughly around 4,300 odd crores, and this is also higher by roughly 50% to what it reported in FY22. When you move forward and look at this unit as well as the sales growth of the company, they've reported roughly 7.7 lakh units that they sold in FY24. And what's also important is that this was a growth of about 8% from the previous year, and also major growth from the FY22 levels as well. But take a look at the export number as well. The company is exporting roughly 1.6 lakh units that are made in FY24 within India to other Southeast Asian countries, and it's also the highest exporter of cars from India. So when you look at the share of exports of Hyundai to other countries, roughly 24% of its sales comes from outside India, and regions such as Latin America as well as Africa were the mainstay of the company, but they've also increased their focus in Middle East as well as European Union going forward, and that's doubled from the 6% that it had in Middle East and European Union in FY22. Currently, it has 24% market share in exports. So every 24 cars exported out of India, out of total of 100 that are going, are of Hyundai brand. When you look at the company's current market share in India specifically, Maruti is number one currently at around 41% market share, but Hyundai has maintained the market share over the last 2 years around 14.5 to 14.6%, despite strong competition from the likes of Tata Motors as well as Mahindra and Mahindra. So these top four players have consolidated the market. When you look at valuations, while Hyundai is currently half of the revenue of what Maruti provides, the valuations are slightly more expected on EV to EBITDA basis as well as market cap to revenue. But definitely the IPO, whenever it's launched, is going to bring strong interest back in the automotive market.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive breakdown, Puneet. Now, another much anticipated IPO, the National Stock Exchange, is expected to complete documentation by early next year. Bloomberg has reported that the NSE valuation has doubled to $36 billion amid IPO hopes. Sources have in fact even indicated that the valuation of the NSE could increase ahead of the IPO. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now, if you are an Airtel user and you're tired of spam calls, here's some good news for you. The company has launched an AI tool which will alert users about spam calls in real time. Rishabh Bhatnagar joins in with the key takeaways of this tool.
Airtel has launched India's first network-based AI-powered spam solution now. Why this is important is because Airtel is the second largest telco operating, and this will be a network-powered. A user will not be required to download any sort of an app or software. It will be automatically implemented on the Airtel network and Airtel users. What it will do is that it will alert users before and in real time whenever a suspected spam call or an SMS is coming to their device. It will be directly alerted to an Airtel user. This is possible because of an AI-powered model that Airtel has deployed that analyzes velocity of calls, frequency of device, and SIM change, as well as robocalling devices alongside government agency inputs. What it also does is analyze about the 1.5 billion SMSs and 2.5 billion calls that are placed on the Airtel network every day. This comes because spam and scamsters operating through voice calls has become a menace. Even though this sort of solution is not being able to be done via OTT apps like WhatsApp, it will be brought in through changes through telecom operators like Airtel.
Now, apart from explaining that to us, Rishabh also spoke exclusively with Bharti Airtel CEO Gopal Vittal regarding the new AI tool, and look at what he had to say about it.
This is a solution that we've been working on for the last 12 months. We have hundreds of data scientists that have actually been working on it. And what we've done is we have identified we've looked at every message that's appearing on our network. 1.5 billion messages get exchanged on our network every day. 2.5 billion calls get made on our network every day. So we look at every single one of those. We put them into an AI model which looks at over 250 parameters, complex parameters, many things, velocity of calling, frequency of calling, whether the device is being changed, whether KYC is in different names. And based on that, on a real-time basis, even before the call is connected, we are able to insert alert on the dialer or on the message that this is a suspected spam. That, in my view, really puts the power back in the user's hands to make sure that they are protected.
Moving on to another important story. Ola has quickly emerged as India's largest electric two-wheeler maker, but along the way, there have been several complaints about the company's after-sales experience. NDTV Profit did a reality check in two major markets, namely Mumbai and Bengaluru, at Ola Electric service centers. Now, here's a look at what the customers have to say about their experience.
मैं जनवरी में जब से गाड़ी लिया हूँ, फरवरी में ख़राब हुआ था, फिर वापस मार्च में ख़राब हुआ, अभी जून में एक बार ख़राब हुआ तो 2 बार उसका मोटर ख़राब हो चुका था. वो तो इंश्योरेंस में था तो चेंज हो गया. एक बार मोटर ख़राब हुआ तो 16,000 का खर्चा, इनवॉइस भेजा, फिर दोबारा जब ख़राब हुआ तो 32,000 का उन्होंने इनवॉइस मुझे भेज दिया था.
ऑलमोस्ट हर मंथ में एक विज़िट तो हो ही जाता है और गाड़ी हर मंथ में 7 से 8 दिन खड़ी रहती है. तो ये 6 महीने में करीबन 3 महीने गाड़ी तो इधर ही थी मेरी. 6-7 महीने जो भी हुए रहेंगे उसमें 3 महीने तो गाड़ी इधर ही थी.
मेरा रिसेंटली इसी मंथ में 2 तारीख को गाड़ी बीच में ही ब्रेक डाउन हो गया. उसके बाद यहाँ पे लेके आए टोइंग करके और यहाँ पे आके उन्होंने पूछा उनको गाड़ी को क्या हुआ तो उन्होंने चेक किया टेक्नीशियन ने और बताया कि उसका मोटर गया.
Now my colleague Tushar joins in with the key takeaways from this report. Take a look.
So when you are the market leader, like Ola Electric is selling about 1 out of 3 electric vehicles, electric two-wheelers in India, that also comes with a sort of responsibility to service all the vehicles you are selling. So latest numbers are actually, if you summation of the last 5 or 6 months, if you see, the company is consistently selling about 35,000 electric two-wheelers in India, despite the removal of a FAME subsidy that wrapped up in March. When you're selling 35,000, but along with it has come a number of complaints from users, as we actually saw in the ground report right now. So customers say that Ola often lacks spare parts. That's also due to the fact that Ola has adopted a direct-to-customer model where it owns and operates both its showrooms as well as service centers. That can actually delay the supply of parts to these centers from a nodal center in Bangalore. So that is one reason for the short supply of vehicles. Also remember that these are also electric vehicles come with teething issues as well. The motor is the fact that motor or the battery is malfunctioning should not be expected of a company that's shipping 30,000 vehicles a month and has been in the business for about 5 years now. Customers also are citing delays, recurrence of issues, like once they get fixed, they also come back in a week or so. So they have to take the vehicle back again. Another person actually commented that the service center is actually far off, so taking their vehicles is actually cumbersome because you have to cart them on a porter service to these particular centers. Issues have also been raised on warranty as well as insurance. customers said that most service centers are not aware of the warranty period or the insurance that is applicable on their model of the scooter. So again, a lacunae there sort of in terms of the Ola service experience. Finally, Ola is also owns all its experience centers, about 500 experience centers, 430 service stations across India, hardware and software glitches. So essentially what we can say is that while it is the biggest company or electric two-wheeler maker in India, there's a lot wanting in terms of the service experience that comes after it, because we must remember that the vehicle ownership begins after a vehicle is purchased and does not end at the showroom itself.
Thank you for that, Tushar. Now on to some news from the derivatives market. Sources tell NDTV Profit that SEBI is all set to meet on 30th September to discuss and implement measures to prevent losses by traders in the F&O segment. My colleague Charu Singh has more details on this. Over to you, Charu.
As we know for now is that Securities and Exchange Board of India is going to be convening its board meeting on Monday, and its agenda looks like this, that firstly they are going to be discussing about the F&O frenzy and the measures that they spoke about in their consultation paper to curb the frenzy. Apart from that, there could be discussions about a new asset class between mutual funds and PMS, and there could also be some conversation around the entire employee issue with the SEBI that we have been seeing in the past few weeks. Now in the consultation paper to curb the F&O frenzy that came out in late July, we had some 7 measures that were supposed to be implemented, that were proposed by SEBI. Of these, the most important ones were proposing contract sizes to be increased to around 15 to 20 lakhs from the current 5 to 10 lakhs, which was set last in 2015. In fact, there was also a proposal to increase this contract size further in the next 6 months of implementation to almost 30 lakh rupees. Apart from this, there could be some more things as per the previous consultation papers as well. And SEBI had also come out with a recent study on the losses faced by individual traders in the F&O segment, which average losses of rupees 2 lakh per trader, 9 out of 10 individual traders facing losses. So let's see what actions are finally taken in this direction.
Thank you for that, Charu. Now, it is important to note that this meeting by the market regulator comes on the back of a SEBI study which indicated that 9 out of 10 F&O traders have lost money. Should restrictions be applied for retail investors who are not equipped to play with this game? And if so, what are these restrictions? Here's what Kotak AMC's Nilesh Shah had to say on this subject.
It is not that people lose money in equity market. It is the traders who lose money and investors who make money. Now, as a society, we have taken a call that when someone is buying tobacco, we warn them that cigarette smoking is injurious to your health. As a society, we have taken a call that certain drugs which are addictive should not be sold. In fact, we have taken a call on few medicines also that without prescription, it cannot be sold. So as a society, we always take care of our vulnerable set of people. And I believe the same standard should be applied for people who want to participate in futures and options. SEBI certainly cannot guarantee that everyone will make money while trading. But certainly there should be criteria in terms of who can participate, what kind of knowledge they must possess, either by way of education degree or by way of special trainings. And more importantly, how much leverage is permitted. I think this is a difficult question to answer, and we should leave it to SEBI's discretion as to what appropriate safeguard can be built. We don't ban smoking except in public, in private places. But at the same time, we must warn people that cigarette smoking is injurious to your health.
Well, that was an interesting remark out there. Titan is expanding in the fragrance market with the launch of Skin 24/7. We have an exclusive conversation with Titan's management. Let's take a look at the conversation.
I think, as I say often, the perfume industry is really witnessing a hockey curve growth rate over the last 2 years. When we started our journey in fragrances, it was about 10 years. This is our 11th year. And initially, the consumer penetration for fragrances was single digit, 5 to 6% as per our estimates. And what we're noticing now is that it is growing at a very fast pace. And that is where we saw a wide space and then launched our masstige product. So we were basically positioned towards consumers who are looking for affordable options between 1,000 to 4,000 price point. There are a lot of options available in the marketplace from an international brand, from imported gray market products, like Indians traveling outside and asking your relative to get a perfume as a gift. So there were so many options which are there, and we saw that there's no strong Indian market player to really seize this option. And we saw that market was underserved, underpenetrated, and that is when we decided to launch the skin brand 10 years ago. Now, I'm happy to state that we've really seen great success there. We are the market leader in the masstige space, 1 to 4K price point. We estimate roughly about 30 to 40% market share in that zone.
Now let's take a look at some more corporate news. Thermax's CEO announced a collaboration to develop advanced electrolyzer technology in India. Now, an electrolyzer is a device that uses electricity to split water and hydrogen and oxygen. Now, this partnership aims to completely indigenize the technology and establish localized production within 2 years. The newly developed electrolyzers boast 25% efficiency improvement over existing low-temperature electrolysis technologies.
For our audience out here, there are 3 big innovations that Thermax is talking about, and the whole move towards energy transition is the core of everything new that is going on at Thermax. First, you would see out here is a biomass center of excellence, as part of which we have got new products and solutions that we are releasing. But at the core of it is we want to come to the market and say any problem that you have for biomass, any problem statement, come to Thermax and we would work with you on what is the best solution that is possible to work a transition. If you're using coal or fossil fuels and you want to move towards biomass, we will do everything along with you. How do you change existing equipment? Where is biomass available? New equipment if you want, we can help you with everything.
Zoho launched an ONDC seller app and an IoT platform in Bengaluru today. CEO of Zoho, Sridhar Vembu, said that the company is currently waiting approval for its semiconductor unit. He also spoke about the company's potential to grow faster in the coming decade. Listen in.
We definitely anticipate growing faster in the coming decade because of all the technology investments we are making, all the R&D we are doing. And of course, there is all against a global economic backdrop that anybody's guess how that will turn out. But we are also expanding dramatically in India, the Indian market as a not just as a technology a production base, R&D base, but also as a market. We're growing very rapidly. I'm happy to report India has already reached number 2 in global revenue for us, and we want to get majority of our revenue from India in the next decade.
The second phase of the assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir was held today. Polling was held for 26 seats across 6 districts, where 26 lakh voters will decide the fate of 239 candidates. I'm joined by Nazir Masoodi with a ground report.
Well, it's moderate to brisk polling across Jammu and Kashmir, across 26 assembly constituencies in the second phase of assembly elections. And it was sluggish polling in Srinagar city, but as day progressed, people started coming out and voted. I'm at Habba Kadal assembly constituency. This is an area which had a sizable number of Kashmiri Pandits. But more than 3 decades ago, in 1990, most of them left this place because of militancy. And now they are actually voting. They're voting from the migrant camps in Delhi, in Jammu. Then in Delhi, there have been some special polling booths have been set up from there. And here we have seen in morning there was very few people had turned up, but eventually people started coming out.
Well, that's all the time we had on this edition of Profit 360. Stay tuned to Profit 360 for more news and updates.